Welcome back to RB's Toy Box. You know, throughout the years, the tech side of Star Trek has been something that's always been a draw to me. And to be able to collect some of the gizmos and gadgets of the industry, Playmates have been a real big part of that. They've made tricorders, they've made different phasers. They just made all kinds of different things so you could literally act out if you wanted to in a cosplay environment or just collecting the different tech. You know, we've got Star Trek the Motion Picture with the different communicator that Kirk had. We've got walkie-talkies that have come out through the different industries. We've got different phasers and communicators and tricorders that are all big deals. But the Wand Company a few years back came out with a really cool phaser that did something. It was a TV remote control, and that set the standard for usable tech. Not just a prop that, you know, maybe had a sound or two, but something that did something real world other than just made noise. Then they came out with a communicator, and they even came out with a second edition communicator that again just didn't make noise, but had Bluetooth connectivity so you can, beam up and actually talk to somebody on the phone. Now, they've done us one more favor with the Wand Company when they come out with their own version of the original series Tricorder. Yes, indeed, it is finally here. And today, we're going to take a closer look at the Wand Tricorder here on RB's Toy Box. Hey Scotty, beam me up so we can do this review. Stay tuned.
Step into the magic on my fun-filled stage. RB's Toy Box is great for kids of any age. From Star Trek to A-Team and retro toys too. Come join on my journey, making videos just for you.
Your buddy here with RB's Toy Box, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome aboard. I know it's been a long time since I made a video like this, and I've still been doing some collecting, but my health went and just I needed to take some time to take care of RB to keep making these videos for you. So I love collecting. I still love collecting, obviously. I even opened up a little bit of a store, a vendor's booth down at the Treasure House in Winter Haven, Florida. I've been writing songs, which is over on my RB's Music and Adventures channel. But today, just like the intro said, we're gonna look at the Wand Tricorder. Let's just take a moment and allow the aurora to come in. Why? Because it's been like pre-COVID waiting for this thing to come out. There are a lot of unboxing videos, and I'm going to probably put a couple of those links down in the description, which, by the way, like and subscribe, we got to build this channel up. It's been a long time since I made a video, and the algorithm's going to hit me up for that. But here's the thing. The Star Trek community, you don't mess with them. You hearing me? The rollout on this thing was such a debacle. I get COVID came into play, but that, you don't change your word, okay? That's some, HasLab, I think they knew that lesson kind of with the stuff that they've done, that if you say you're going to put it out, you better put it out in the way that you said you were going to put it out. Because when you start getting into the collectors, when you start getting into the Trekkies, the Star Trek people, the Battlestar Galactica people, we're canon. And it's got to be just right. And there's some room in here for cosplay and imagination and creativity. But when it comes to you saying you're going to release a product a certain way, and then you completely do something different and just roll over the loyal people that have supported the process, supported the updates, and shared information in this huge community. And then you change the game at the very last. I mean, I've been obviously following this on different social media channels, and I mean, the StarCraft community is ticked off. I mean, bad over this thing. And if you don't know the story, I'm going to give you a little bit of a preamble of the mindset here that
it would be a fascinating project.
Pre-COVID, one company gave us a teaser, a little 16 or 19 second little video, dun, 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 that this thing was coming out and all the cool features it would have. And then even Adam Savage did this cool, thing on it. They got hold of him early and said what was going to happen, how they were going to release it. And they sent us all these certificates that we signed up for. And you get to put your name on it and say that you were a captain or an engineer or, put a little title with it. And it was great. It was a great way, instead of making us kind of like HasLab to pay for it up front, was a certificate to let them know, hey, we're interested. When this thing comes out, we're going to buy it type thing. And I think personally that was a better way of doing it than the way that HasLab does, where you got to get 500,000 people drop $500 or $600 or $800 before they'll do anything. This was just the better way of doing it. And they didn't roll out the tricorders and the phasers that way. They just put them up for market and sold them. But this one they decided to do it kind of like some others, but they didn't want money up front. But still, the loyalists were there. The Star Trek community, got behind them big time. And they knew that if they put together a certain quantity of these, that we were going to stand by our word and buy them when they came out if they honored what they said and give us the product that we asked for, right? So fast forward to about 6 months ago when they started releasing this thing about, before the whole tariff thing came into play, they were like, oh, we're not going to actually be shipping them out to you directly like you can by going to wand.com type thing. You're going to have to go to Amazon in the UK, and as we decide to put them out, you can try to get one. Well, that was completely opposite from what they promised. Was, hey, you had a number that you signed up for, and we were going to be, giving you a notification, and you can go to whateverit.com and boom, get it, right? That didn't happen. They released them to the United Kingdom, and then everybody and their stepbrother, including me, trying to be every, morning, noon, and night. I'm checking. And it kept telling me that it couldn't give me shipping data and all this kind of stuff. Well, after that massive backlash, they had an epiphany. They're like, we'll charge about 50 extra bucks. We'll take a big batch of them and we'll ship them to the United States. But again, on Amazon, which, hey, you're think about it, guys. If you sold this directly, you would have saved the Amazon fees, but they didn't. Now they got to have the import fees and the Amazon fees, making this thing about $415 in order to get your hands on it. And I got a sneaky feeling, because of the way this thing was rolled out, that this is going to be kind of like the HasLab thing. It's just my guess that when this batch is done, they're done. I don't even think that they're going to, do the little, sensor thing on it. That's my opinion. You guys down in the comments, tell me if you think I'm right or wrong, but, I saw the writing on the wall when it came to some of the recent stuff that Playmates was putting out. They pushed the $500 threshold and they got burned bad. And I think that they might see a little bit of this, especially with the loyalty issue coming around. Now, history-wise, I got, my number came up. I went in to try to get it, and it got literally sold out from under me. My daughter, God rest, love her, she was like, hey, Dad, I got my notification. You can have my invite. So, she put it in the shopping cart. I ran over there and got it. And it took about 2 weeks, and boom, it was here. So there's your long story short. we're 7 minutes into this thing. Hopefully you're not completely asleep, but I know we've got some folks on this channel that like the channel but aren't necessarily, you know, wand collectors per se. So I thought a little history of why this big rigmarole about this tricorder was going to come into play. So let's talk just for a moment about some of the cool things, packaging wise and so forth. But they kept it in a similitude, if you will. Now, this is what the packaging looked like for the tricorder. Now, they did a re-release, I'm sorry, I didn't mean tricorder, I mean communicator. They did a re-release of this here just a few years ago, and it had a little bit of different sound effects on it, actually a few less than the original release did. The original one, in my opinion, better unit. They did a re-release, and I bought a couple of these, one for me and one for my daughter. And that's one of them here in the box, and then another one sitting over here. And it works with Bluetooth, which is really cool. So beyond just, you know, having it on there and going, ooh, that's kind of cool, it was Bluetooth. You know, you could have some fun and, you know, swip it over and, hey, you know, how you doing? Matter of fact, my wife, ever since I got the original one many years ago, I've had her on my phone as Starbase 86. 86 is when we, you know, got together many years ago. So her name on my phone is Starbase 86, so that I can just say, hey, call Starbase 86, and it calls her right away. So it's a really cool feature that they made this Bluetooth, and of course this one from many years ago, you know, technically is a television remote control, although, I mean, who amongst us actually used it for that? Because, you know, when this came out, you know, flat screens were just becoming a thing. But, you know, this is technically a TV remote control, but I think most of us just, you know, go for the pew-pews. But this one has no Bluetooth connectivity to it. Maybe in the future they'll put something in there. I doubt it. But this is basically just the internals of what you have. Now, there is some talk of the town, and they did kind of put it together. I'm not sure you can see it in the pictures. Yeah, you can, right there. See right here, there's a little SD slot, and you can poke your finger in there and poof, pop it out, and that's a place for an SD card slot, but it doesn't do anything right now. But that's supposed to be, you know, where you can put in your own captain's log in bulk. There's a place in here that you can record it. There is a place in here for the possibility of putting in, like, you know, your own movies or whatever and watching them on this little screen here. All of that's a possibility for expansion to make this a little bit better. But what I'm going to do right now is go ahead and power this on. I'm going to change the camera view in here in just a moment. But I want to show you here, as we turn this on, my first opportunity. You notice how that moved? You can't push anything without it constantly moving. They should have made that ratchet in there a lot tighter. But again, this is kind of a review to get RB Toy Box's opinion on the product. But there you go. It's a beautiful little readout there, nice and crystal clear. Comes out with your date. You can put your name in it, things of that nature. And again, I'm not going to go through every button that you can go through on here, just some of the favorite things and observations of. Now, if you open up this bottom piece here, you can see you've got the little Moire light or whatever it's called. And then over here are all the data discs. The data discs come with their little titles on them. But you don't have to pull them out and switch them around every time unless you're doing something on film that you want to do a cosplay for, because it has an override switch in here. You go to settings, and then you go to override, and then it displays all of basically everything that's on the discs already. Now, beyond that is you have a, you know, the back button here, and then you can go to the prop, and then you can change and have a little bit of sound going on, actually, like that. And I won't say that's the limit of the sounds that it does, but it's pretty close to it. Other than the occasional beep navigation, that's about it. That's all the sounds that it makes. Now, that's one of the things that I consider a little bit of a failing for this, is that the biggest thing that people are going to use this for is cosplay. And for cosplay, you want to have lots of sound. Matter of fact, this thing is packed full of, you know, toggle it up and hear Kirk's voice, toggle it down and hear Uhura's voice, toggle it over and hear, Chekhov. I mean, it has all of those little things for cosplay experiences. This one does not. And with as much stuff as in here, it would have been an extra 2 minutes worth of work to make this toggle right here do the similar sounds as this one, right? And it didn't have to be communication, dialogue. It could have been, computer notices the rock formation. It could have been all kinds of little things like that you could have just toggled through 30 different sayings per se in order for having a better cosplay experience. But despite the very large lack of screens that are on here, the ones that are on it are very crisp, very clear. There are some things in here like, where you can, let me just navigate back here real quick and show you one.
Well, fascinating is a word I use for the unexpected.
So under the status, you have, that right there, and you also have one for the ship. See, every time you push it, it just goes down. Now, that's it. I mean, it's supposed to have a little readout down here at the bottom that every once in a while it'll say like, nacelle is under, repairs or something like that, and then you have to wait like an hour for it to say something otherwise. But it doesn't let you toggle through different scenarios. Again, that might be something that they might think about in the future, but it doesn't. This is it. I mean, there's no sound to it. There's no toggling through different engineering screens. This is it. I mean, this is literally all you get to see is that screen and that screen. There's not a shuttlecraft screen. There's not a different wavelength. There's no warp core reactor analysis or anything like that. So, like I said, from a cosplay standpoint, except for occasionally putting up a screen or two with no sounds, that's it. You can go to the blank screen and have it do a sound, or go to a screen that has a picture with no sound. Now, it does have a really cool thing in here. It's got like all the captain's logs, which is kind of cool. When you have this door open, you hear it much better than if it's closed. A little tip there for you. This one down here has a place for the future for you to put your little hand scanner down in here. They come with 3 little plastic pieces in here for you to set it down inside. If you didn't want to have those plastic pieces in there, you could take them out and use it as a little storage place for something. Totally could do that. And then the back end opens up, this little screw, and it opens up, and there's a battery compartment in for a rechargeable battery, and then it has a USB-C connector that goes, and you can charge it up there, and it has a charger readout on it as well on that screen right there. It does automatically shut off when you close it, which is kind of nice. The strap is more of a leatherette strap.
Fascinating.
But now I'd like to pivot just a little bit. I want to look at the packaging for just a moment. So this is the packaging that it came in, and it is complementary to the packaging that this came in. So very, very similar in the design, where this says, standard issue communicator with a name on it, and this one excuse me, says standard issue tricorder, down at the bottom of it, and then it has the wand company logo on the back. It wasn't sealed like I thought it would potentially be, but inside it has a poster of sorts that doesn't show you every jot and tittle of stuff that's in here. Pull that apart. But it comes with this little poster that opens up. Again, full unboxing videos is not what I'm doing here. It also has a nice leather case that goes with it. I think, again, it should have had a little bit of a place that you could put a belt loop through it. Personal opinion. Somebody out there, I'm sure, will come up with something, but you know, to where the strap's removable and you could slide it in this way. And you say, well, that's not that way in the original series. I know, but we're talking about cosplayers here, to where they might do or use something like that a little bit more than they would if it was like this. But even like this, the magnet is strong enough that you could hang it without it popping out because just the friction that's in there. But, you know, there is a small chance, because this is like this, that it could technically pull itself out. You know what I'm saying? Because the strap doesn't hook to the case, the strap hooks to the tricorder, so this would technically and potentially fall off. But if you're out and about and cosplay and stuff like that, again, this is not a very strong magnet. There is a very small chance when you've got it, you know, around you and you're just walking around, that this could technically slip off in the crowd, and you wouldn't realize it till you got back to the car and found out that you have something that may be irreplaceable, because I don't know if Juan's going to do replacement parts on these or not. All right, let's pivot into something that I haven't really seen on anybody's videos yet, and that is this. I wanted to give you a kind of a closer look. Let me open this up here. Side by side between the one of the three main Playmate tricorders. You have the medical, and then you have the Geo, and then you have a small one. And the small one, I don't know honestly what that one was made for, but it's only about that big. It's not a very big unit. I actually have that down at my store. But this one, they are approximately the same height, as you can see, side by side. They are almost identical width. Almost identical width. We just show you a closer side by side of the two screens there. And then when you open this one up, this has a little bit obviously more weight to it. This one has no weight to it. It's just a chunk of plastic. These obviously do not come out. This one does spin when you have batteries in it. By the way, take all of your batteries out of everything and do not put them back in until you're going to actually utilize them. Now, this one down at the bottom, I want you to look at that very closely. The way that they position this one with this scanner over here on the side, and then it closes up. But I want you to see the discs down there? This one does not. Different design. However, you know, who wants to sit here and say that there's something nicer in the Playmates version than, you know, the $400 version, right? I mean, come on, let's just be real about it. But when you're looking at aesthetics, and the battery compartment is in here, by the way, which they totally could have done in this one. But if you look right here, the battery compartment is back inside of there. And then they just put this over on the side where theirs, and I don't think this will fit. I think some other people said they have tried. Yeah, it won't fit. Just sticks out like that. But you could totally take these two little centerpiece things that they gave you and just put them in the box, and then just drop that one in there and then use this one for, you know. Now, in the future, hopefully, this at least Bluetooth connects to this so that it can detect something and transmit anything. I mean, there should be some level of next level when you're dealing with something like this, just like with, you know, these. You know, it's not just the communicator. There's something connectable to it. It does something in the real world. And granted, before you start yelling at the screen, this one, granted, does have a few real world tools to it. For example, it does an EM field, to where if you hold your phone real close to it when you're detecting it, then you can see the little, you know, bzzz, you know, go up and down. You can also, it has a thing in here for your microphone. So as you're talking, you see a woo, 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 you know, do one of those numbers. it has the capability of doing a captain's log. However, when you do the captain's log, there's another great video I'll probably give you a link to down below, but there is a setting in there where you can turn this off from spinning. And you need to do that if you're going to use the captain's log for yourself, right? Not to listen, but to make your own captain's log. Because the motor inside of here is picked up in this microphone, so it sounds horrible, completely unusable. But if you turn this off in the settings, sounds pretty decent. Sounds like the rest of them do. So, little extra tidbit there. I picked that up on watching some of the other videos that are on YouTube, kind of walking through this particular unit. So, side-by-side comparison, there's some good things about it. Obviously, the gold, just the metallic look to it. Definitely some advantages on one versus the other when it comes to the aesthetics inside. Right there. Again, that's just Rick being picky, if I'm just being honest about it. But, you know, again, if you're... I used to work in the automotive field. You guys know that. And I've worked for BMW, I've worked for Honda, Alfa Romeo, Volkswagen, Mercedes-Benz. I mean, quite a large variety of them, including Honda, if I didn't say that one already.
Fascinating.
And people had this mindset that if you bought a Mercedes, that there's a certain level of quality that comes with a Mercedes. And if you bought a BMW, there's a certain level of quality that comes with a BMW. And something like this would be a Honda. Something like this would be your BMW. And when you have, I'm going to tell you this, when you have a situation where there's something cooler on the Honda than it's on the BMW, customers tell you about it every time, without fail. Now here's another one that's obviously very identical to the medical one. This is the Geo one. Open up the bottom here. See previous answer. This one has a larger scanner, and this one is Playmates, and it spins around. But this one, same thing. You know, it has these down here where the batteries go back behind there. And that, again, is a little bit nicer than what you get with the wand one. Again, Rick's opinion. Get it? Got it? Good. Okay. So, you know, make sure, you know, you're commenting down below about, you know, whatever, you know, what you like about it, what you don't like about it. If you hate wand and you'll never buy one of their products again, good night. I've seen that plenty of times on there. But let me know your thoughts on it. Because, you know, like I went this far with the journey, I was not going to just stop because I didn't like the rollout. It was something that I needed to complete the collection because, you know, if you're really wanting to say that you're a wand, you know, no, well, not a wand collector, but I mean, think about it. Now you have the complete set, you know, 2 different tricorders, your phaser, which comes in 2 pieces. I'll probably do a nice review on this one. I haven't done any, you know, reviews in a while, but I'll do a review maybe on that one and a really detailed review on this one. And there's already some really cool reviews on this one. But I just wanted to give you my take, my opinion. You know, it's got a great fit and feel to it. Not crazy about the fact that this thing won't lock in or have a button, or at least have a little tighter. I mean, I know you can, you know, do that and pull it all the way back, and you need to because of some of the scenes in the show that, you know, Spock was looking straight down at it, upside down, of course. But, you know, it kind of needs to have that to be a little bit tighter, or again, to have a little button over on the side for rotation or something like that, because, you know, you have to literally hold it with one hand and then push the buttons, because every time you push a button, it rotates. You know, it's hard to push a button without it rotating. So now when you do, I don't know if I mentioned that down, but it does go into sleep mode, which obviously the Playmates do not. That's a quick way to kill your battery. But in sleep mode, it does go to sleep. There are some Easter eggs when you open up the back cover, and there are a couple of videos where people have take these completely apart, because there's some really smart folks out there, I'm telling you. I don't want to say these were released in a hurry, because they weren't. I'm talking 4 years to get it. But there are some production issues with this. There's some software glitches, and there are some hardware issues dealing with the battery. Now, one of these guys took one of these apart. If you come across yours and the screen stops working, in other words, there's no power supplied to it, or when you move the head or you flex it in any way that the screen turns off and resets all the way back to the beginning like you bought it brand new, then there is a broken solder joint inside where you literally have to strip this thing all the way down to get to it. But if it's over your Amazon 14 days, you're kind of stuck. And I'm sure that the WAN company will back it up. And I know that they will, because this actually, the little button in here went bad. I mean, it just was flopping all around. And I emailed them, and they said, hey, we'll send you a new one. And I sent this one back, and you know, this is the new one that I got. So they will stand by on it within, you know, your year warranty. But they're probably going to tell you that we have to fulfill all of our orders before we can ship you a replacement. So that guy does a really good job of going through and showing you how to solder, resolder those battery joints and put everything back to normal. Just saying, might want to check that video out if you're having that problem with yours. I haven't had that problem with mine, knock on wood. I'm praying that I don't, but if I do, there's some super smart people out there on YouTube that are already taking these babies apart and looking for ways to, you know, repair them. This also uses one of those replaceable batteries. And instead of having it more where it's soldered in, this is a replaceable one. So, you know, start giving you some problem, you pull that thing out. And like I mentioned before, if this is just going to sit on the shelf for the next year, open that compartment up and take that battery out. Okay, you guys have watched my video on battery acid problems, and we don't want to see these things 5 years from now hit eBay when the whole bottom of it's just been ripped up and all the electronics have been totally destroyed because of acid. Okay, so that's kind of like my overview for this particular video. Again, I got a lot of cool stuff that's coming up. I'm going to do some things on some Star Wars things that I picked up, dealing with some lightsabers, high-end lightsabers directly from Disney World with the Galaxy Edge. They have two stores in there that they don't sell the plastic cheapy stuff. I mean, it's all high-end, really cool stuff, and I'm going to be making a video especially about that. I have a video up and coming about the DJI 3, Pocket 3, and how you might want to add that for what you're utilizing that for, and some tricks that I've come up with for the utilization of that. I've got a few new collectibles dealing with cars, Disney cars, and Jaws 50th anniversary, and some specialty collectors things that came out with that as well. A couple of movies that I've gone to recently with, you know, popcorn buckets that you can get. And stuff like that. Be sure if you like Americana music, go over to RB's Music and Adventures. I'll put a link to that below as well. I hope you like and subscribed and stayed all the way to this point. But you know, in the meantime, hey, stay out there, stay collecting. It's your buddies here at RB's Toy Box, and hopefully we'll keep these videos rolling for you. But we'll see you soon.
Step into the magic on my fun-filled stage. RB's Toy Box is great for kids of any age. From Star Trek to A-Team and retro toys too. Come join on my journey, making videos just for you.